My dad said never open that door. I did, and found another version of myself. Grew up in a house filled with silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy, watching kind that made you feel like the walls were listening. My father was strict, calculated, and strangely obsessed with one thing: the basement door at the end of the hallway. It was old, wooden, with scratches across it like something had clawed to escape. Every day, he passed by it with the same warning: never open that door. Not for any reason. Not ever. I thought he was paranoid, maybe traumatized, maybe hiding something shameful. But what I didn't know then was that he wasn't protecting the door from me. He was protecting me from what was behind it. When I turned 17, things started to get strange. First, Dad installed 3 different locks on the door. Then he added a camera facing it. And then he began sleeping in the hallway on some nights, like he expected something or someone to come out. I tried asking him why he was so obsessed, but he always said the same thing: some things you don't touch. Some truths you're safer not knowing. That made my curiosity worse. And when you're a teenager living in a house with a forbidden door, curiosity becomes oxygen. The night everything changed, Dad left for a business trip short notice, unusual for him. Before he left, he grabbed my shoulders, looked me dead in the eyes, and whispered, shaking, "No matter what you hear, do not open it." I laughed nervously, thinking he was being dramatic. But the moment he stepped out and the house sank into its unnatural silence, I felt something shift, like the air itself tighten around me. At 1:17 a.m., I heard it, a knock, not loud, but slow and deliberate, coming from the other side of the forbidden door. I froze. My chest tightened. Nobody else was home. The knock came again, 3 taps, evenly spaced. My heart hammered. I knew I should ignore it. Call Dad. Call someone. But my feet moved on their own. As I walked down the hallway, I felt like the temperature dropped 10 degrees. The lights flickered. The air felt wrong, like it was vibrating. When I reached the door, the knocking stopped. Suddenly, it was completely quiet. I pressed my ear against it, and then someone whispered my name from the other side. My blood turned to ice. The voice sounded like me. Same tone, same pitch, same way of saying my name. It wasn't Dad. It wasn't anyone I knew. It was me. A cold shiver ran through my spine. I should have run, but when fear mixes with curiosity, the result is fatal bravery. My hands shook as I reached for the first lock. Something inside me screamed to stop, but another part, something darker, told me I needed to know the truth. The lock clicked open. As I unlocked the second one, I heard breathing on the other side. Deep, unsteady breathing, like someone desperately waiting. When the final lock opened, the door pushed outward slightly, as if someone had been leaning against it. I opened it just enough to peek inside. There was no basement, no stairs, no room, just darkness. A swirling, endless, ink-black void that seemed to pulse like a living thing. It wasn't empty. It felt aware. And in that blackness, something moved. My hand reached out and grabbed the doorframe. I stumbled back as a figure stepped into the dim hallway. My heart nearly exploded. The person standing in front of me was me, but paler, thinner, with dark circles under his eyes and a stare like he'd seen horrors that didn't exist in this world. He tilted his head and smiled almost sadly. Finally, he whispered, "You let me out." I couldn't speak. My mind was scrambling to understand. He stepped closer, eyes locked on mine, moving the same way I did in the mirror, but wrong. Like he learned how to copy me but never mastered the human part of it. What are you?" I finally managed to choke out. He chuckled softly. "I'm you, the version Dad trapped because he wanted a better one." His smile faded. "You're the replacement." My stomach dropped. My skin crawled. He walked around me slowly, studying me like a hunter circling prey. Every instinct screamed that I had made the biggest mistake of my life. He whispered, "Did he ever tell you why he never let you near this door?" A tear slid down his cheek. "He was afraid you'd meet me, afraid you'd realize you're not the original." I shook my head violently. No, that's impossible." He stopped in front of me and said, "Dad created us both. 2 versions. One he kept, one he hid." His voice cracked. I was the one he hid. My knees nearly gave out. "Why?" That twisted grin returned. "Because I knew too much. I knew what he did. I knew how he experimented. I knew the truth about our family. So he locked me away in that space he created to keep me from escaping. He leaned in until our faces were inches apart. And you freed me. I backed away, shaking. What do you want? His eyes softened, and that made it even more terrifying. To switch places. You've had my life. I wanted back. Before I could react, he lunged. I fell backward, hitting the floor hard. He slammed the door shut behind him, trapping us both in the hallway. His strength was unreal. He pinned me down with one hand. You should have listened to Dad, he whispered, his voice full of broken rage. He wrapped his fingers around my throat. My vision blurred. Spots danced in front of my eyes. Just as I felt myself fading, the front door burst open and Dad stormed inside, yelling my name. Everything became a blur of shouting, struggling, and something like an explosion of light. When the light faded, Dad was kneeling over me, shaking me, tears streaming down his face. The other me was gone, pulled back into that dark void as if it sucked him home. Dad lifted me into his arms, sobbing, whispering over and over, I told you not to open it. I told you. I told you. When I finally caught my breath, I whispered, what was he? Dad swallowed hard. Your twin, the real one, born wrong, born with something violent in him. I couldn't kill him, so I found a way to contain him. His voice broke. I didn't want you to know. It hurt. All of it hurt. The secrets, the fear, the truth that my life wasn't what I thought it was. I looked at the now closed door. The locks bent and twisted. Some melted like metal held against fire. That place, Dad continued shakily, is not a room. It's a pocket dimension, a prison I built. As long as it stays closed, he can't come out. You cannot open it again, ever. I wanted to scream, cry, run. But all I could do was stare at the door and feel the weight of what I'd unleashed. Even for a moment, the house felt different after that night. The walls felt tighter, the air heavier. Dad never left me alone again, not for 1 second. He moved a bed into the hallway and slept beside that door every night. Sometimes in the quiet hours of the morning, I heard faint knocking again, 3 taps, evenly spaced. Dad would sit upright, his eyes wide, and whisper, don't answer. He's trying to come back. And every time I passed the door, I felt a chill, a presence, a version of me waiting patiently on the other side, whispering my name, promising that one day, whether I like it or not, the door would open again. And when it does, he'll be ready. In the end, I learned that some doors are forbidden for a reason. Not because they hide monsters, but because they hide truths we may never be prepared for. My father tried to protect me from a darkness that shared my face, my voice, my identity. Though the door is locked again, the fear remains. I can still feel him behind it, waiting, whispering my name. And now, I know one thing for certain: some versions of ourselves should never be set free.